Welcome to the Speaking of Women's Health podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Holly Thacker, and thanks for joining me back in the Sunflower House. And today's episode is on omega-3 fats, everything you wanted to know about omega-3s. And this is a really important topic because it's a very commonly used supplement, and I talk to women about it in the office all the time. And back in 2012, I wrote a column, Should You Eat Fish or Just Swallow Some Omega-3 Fish Oils Instead? And then we updated it last year. It's so important, and all the things we talk about and some of the recipes I'm going to talk about are all on our website, speakingofwomenshealth.com. And I am, of course, your host, and I'm the executive director of National Speaking of Women's Health. And I'm also a women's health specialist and menopause specialist, and I really focus basically on anti-aging without all the snake oil, I say. And because I focus on midlife and treating hormonal deficiency and optimizing health, a lot of that does have to do not just with the hormonal status, but dietary status, vitamin status, nutritional status, lifestyle, exercise. And we certainly know that humans cannot make omega-3. We can't make omega-6 either, but that's pretty easy to get in the diet. So what are the benefits of omega-3 fish oil capsules? Alrighty, what's the beef? I mean, what's up with fish and omega-3 fats? Recent research has shown that taking omega-3 fatty acids in the form of kind of stinky fish oil capsules actually does not reduce cardiac deaths, but eating fish or eating omega-3 rich foods does. And after vitamin D supplements and multiple vitamin supplements, fish oil supplements are the next most consumed supplement in the United States, which adds up to millions of dollars expended by the public in pursuit of a healthier body. So because our bodies cannot manufacture omega-3 fats, we do need to ingest these heart healthy fats. I know, ladies, it sure seems like our female body makes fat very easily. And that's in part because we women need to store more fat to support childbearing and lactation. Hence, we have kind of curvaceous, softer, rounder physiques compared to our male counterparts. There's actually two classes of fats that our body, both males and females, of course, cannot make. And as I mentioned, that's omega-3, which are pretty popular, and omega-6, which are actually more common. And most of us get quite enough of omega-6 because meat is found in dairy, and we women's health doctors like dairy products, low fat, for calcium and bone and protein. Omega-6 is found in meats, and lean meat has a lot of nutrients, including iron. That was one of my first podcasts, was on iron, and zinc, which is very important for the immune system, and certainly lean protein. Corn has omega-6 fats, and so does safflower and evening of primrose oil. And evening of primrose oil has sometimes been recommended over the counter to treat breast tenderness. And the only real contraindication, interestingly, to taking evening of primrose oil is a history of schizophrenia. Now, omega-3 fats are kind of exalted, and they're made up of three fats. EPA, which is eicosapentaenoic acid, DHE, which is doxohexaenoic acid, and ALA, which is alpha-linolenic acid. So the EPA and DHE fats are found in the following foods: salmon, tuna, sardines, and herrings. Now the ALA fats are found in walnuts, flaxseed, chia seed, and kale and spinach, as well as cruciferous Brussels sprouts. And cruciferous Brussels sprouts also have DIM, which is an anti-cancer, anti-HPV virus substance, and it's also found in cauliflower and sauerkraut. And so that's kind of a strong vegetable, but a very healthy one. And it's nice to know that Brussels sprouts also have ALA. Now, pregnant women and young growing children do have to be careful about ingesting large quantities of fish because unfortunately, fish can be contaminated in heavy metals like mercury. The omega-3 fats do help maintain the cell membranes and aid in brain function. That's why fish is kind of called a brain food. And I just got my granddaughter Artemis to eat some fish, and it was fried walleye on our vacation to Geneva on the lake. And anytime you dip something in sour cream, she eats it. We go to my friend's private trout club, and I've never seen Artemis eat so much trout, fresh trout, and spinach, which is good in iron, and lots of other vegetables. It's kind of a superfood, as long as we had a little container of sour cream, which actually has some good probiotics. So the ratio is important. If you have too much omega-6, which a lot of people do, Americans do in their diet, it promotes inflammation. But conversely, if you ingest too much omega-3, it can promote breast tenderness and breast cysts. So when I see a woman with breast cysts and breast tenderness, the first thing I ask her is, are you ingesting fish oil? She's like, yes. I'm like, well, stop it. Just eat it in your diet. Eat it in your food. Omega-3s have actually been used to treat postpartum depression. So now I know why in my last pregnancy with my son Grayson, I crave fish. And I felt bad because I'd be going into a fast food restaurant to get filet of fish like almost every day. And it was because your body does need more omega-3s. Now, sometimes physicians do medically prescribe omega-3s. So it can help reduce triglycerides, but for just general elevated cholesterol, it's not recommended per se. A healthy, heart-healthy Mediterranean diet is reducing sugar and sweets will definitely reduce triglycerides, as will weight loss and intermittent fasting. Sometimes rheumatologists might prescribe omega-3s to reduce some arthritic inflammatory conditions. And sometimes the ophthalmologist do recommend omega-3s for dry eyes. Now, if you do have to take prescription omega-3 fats medically, not just in general, but medically, I do recommend considering freezing the capsules because it seems to reduce that fish odor burping. But we get back to the original question we had. Do fish oil capsules have the same benefit as food? No. Because if you're taking fish oil capsules because you want to avoid eating a heart-healthy diet and you just want to go to fast food restaurants regularly, then you're just swallowing extra calories without any gustatory pleasure. And it's just extra calories. And midlife women are so concerned in general, most, not all, but most, all midlife women are concerned about weight because weight gain is very common with age. Food in many places in America and the world is abundant, not for all, but for many of us. And it tastes so good and it's associated with so many activities. And you do have to eat less and exercise more to stay the same weight. In fact, as soon as I'm done this podcast, I'm hitting the gym. But really, calories and reducing caloric ingestion is actually more important than exercise in terms of weight loss. Now, in terms of maintaining your weight, exercise is important and builds muscle. But all you have to do is eat a big apple, 300 calories, for 6 months to gain 30 pounds and make a baby. All you have to do is eat an extra carrot stick a day. And at the end of the year, you can be 10 to 20 pounds overweight. So swallowing calories in the form of fish oil, why not just enjoy the calories that you're getting to eat? Now, if you want to reduce your risk of heart disease, avoid trans fats. Anything partially hydrogenated, you should avoid it like the plague because trans fats increase heart disease and cancer risk. Now, the monounsaturated fats like olive oil and peanut oil and the happy avocado are very heart healthy fats. And avocados also are high in magnesium, and a lot of women don't get enough magnesium in their diet. Now, the tropical medium chain oils like coconut oil does have some heart and potentially brain benefits in moderation. So for maximum health, most all people should follow a Mediterranean diet rich in fruits and veggies, some fish, and eating omega-3 rich foods at least twice a week. Exercise, you should try to aim for this most every day, and you should aim to have a normal BMI, your body mass index. And you can go on our speakingofwomenshealth.com site, and we have a BMI calculator. Now, you can be very muscular and have dense muscles and still have low body fat and be normal and have a higher BMI. Conversely, you can be skinny fat and have a normal BMI but have wasted your muscles and still have visceral central fat. That's not good. And with some of these new exciting weight loss medicines, which we've discussed in other podcasts, you can go back and listen to the interview I did with Dr. Tara Iyer on the medical management of obesity, as well as I've done some other podcasts just in general on weight and covered this in my book, The Cleveland Clinic Guide to Menopause, which I updated and recently podcasted. With some of these dramatic new GLP-1 inhibitors that are injectable and some are oral, and we have more coming out in the future, people do lose weight, but they can lose muscle mass as well as fat mass. And we basically want people to maintain their lean muscular body mass. So it's important to move more, sit less, and ingest your nutrition through whole foods, not pills, powders, potions, and supplements. So I do recommend supplements in terms of vitamin D, especially for people over 40, for breastfeeding babies, for children, for people who are protecting their skin from the sun. For anyone over 40, your skin doesn't make it from the sun, even if you tan anyway. And it really does help optimize your immune system, reduce several types of cancers and infection and multiple sclerosis. Magnesium is probably the next most common supplement I recommend for women, and we have a list of magnesium-rich foods on our website. Sometimes during colds or with certain GI problems, or if the zinc levels are low, I may recommend that. And I do test zinc levels sometimes, especially in people with depression or GI problems. But I rarely prescribe fish oil capsules. Now, again, for certain people with dry eyes, certain autoimmune conditions, or very high triglycerides, that the person's already intermittently fasting, reducing their sugar, controlling their blood sugar, sometimes that can be helpful. So after I get done with this podcast and exercise and dancing around the kitchen with my pedometer on, trying to get my 10,000 steps a day, I think I'm going to go grill some fresh salmon fillets topped with a caramelized agave coating and mix up a fresh spinach salad for dessert. I'll get a small portion of brownies because chocolate's rich in magnesium and rich in iron, with just a few walnuts, because walnuts are also rich in omega-3s. And speaking of some of these great recipes, you should really go on our website, speakingofwomenshealth.com, and check out some of our heart-healthy grilled or baked salmon. Generally, people prefer fresh salmon as opposed to the farm-raised salmon. We have a great recipe on pan-seared salmon with basil dressing, salmon burgers, salmon marsala, salmon salad. I love to get blackened salmon as a side to my salad, and I think that's a great meal. And again, just 2 servings a week. It doesn't need to be every day. Beans are good for the brain and good for fiber. We have a warm cannellini bean salad with salmon and citrus vinaigrette on the website. And we have a great chocolate walnut biscotti recipe too. So, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode on Omega-3s. I'm your host, Dr. Holly Thacker, the Executive Director of Speaking of Women's Health. And please, if you don't already subscribe to our website, please do. You can catch us anywhere that you get podcasts. Apple iTunes, Google, Podcast Bean, Amazon Music. And I hope you'll join me back in the Sunflower House for another edition of our Speaking of Women's Health podcast to empower you to be strong, be healthy, and be in charge. And follow us on Rumble, Speaking of Women's Health